Himawari felt the cold blade tear through her flesh. She, the hope of Konoha, was dying, and the assassin? Her own clan. It was unbelievable. Let's backtrack. For months, Konoha was a ship without a rudder, and with the Hokage missing, chaos lurked at the gates, and the Anbu were working double time. Himawari lived on the sidelines, dude. Reclusive. She didn't seek power. She just trained her Byakugan and Juken, trying to honor her mother. But a new danger was approaching, and there was an ancient prophecy, a forbidden text from the Hyuga library that spoke of an eye that would see too much, a Kage who would ascend unwillingly. This prophecy pointed to the girl, which is why she preferred isolation. But the universe had other plans, dude. An ancient whisper began to echo in her mind, and it wasn't chakra or genjutsu. It was something much older and more potent, because the voice held terrible secrets. The sound came from underground, from Konoha's forgotten heart, a chamber sealed for centuries beneath the Hokage Mountain. And it was on a rainy night that the whisper became a scream, tearing through the silence and shaking Himawari's soul. She couldn't ignore it. She felt a force pulling her, an ancient magnetism, and knew that ignoring this call meant the end. The end of peace, the end of everything, and perhaps the death of those she loved. Himawari ran. She ignored the Anbu guard in the darkness of the night, heading for the secret chamber, and the heavy air chilled her lungs with every step. Inside, a sealed stone began to crack, and a gigantic eye opened, pulsing with unknown, macabre, and ancient chakra. And this eye didn't blink, dude. It just stared at Himawari, showing her visions of a distorted and bloody future that left her breathless. The ninja council turned to dust, dude. It's impossible that everything just vanished like that. Himawari felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. But it wasn't a tremor. It was the vision of that gigantic eye still burning in her mind, because the attack on the council was no surprise. She had seen it. The visions exploded, an avalanche of premonitions that tore through the veil of reality and showed her the price of power. Every chakra, every enemy movement was there, etched into her soul. Then, when the sound of the explosion truly echoed, the image wasn't new, and the smell of smoke filled the chamber, because Himawari already knew everything. But she was paralyzed. She closed her eyes, gasping for air, and tried to shake off the pain. But her Byakugan reacted on its own, opening unbidden, and the once white pupil now held an ancestral secret. It wasn't just seeing chakra, dude. It was as if the village walls became transparent, and Himawari could see through dimensions, capturing the essence of every injured ninja in the council. The attack was a distraction, understand? A spectacle of pain to hide something bigger, because the true target wasn't the building, but Konoha's very soul. She saw it, a hidden seal, a blind spot on the village's chakra map, pulsing with malevolent energy, because the enemy was planting something far more sinister deep underground. Her heart beat like a war drum, and Himawari knew her Byakugan wasn't the same anymore. It had evolved, and now showed terrible secrets of a war that hadn't even begun. What she saw was a fragment of an ancient scroll, glowing with forbidden chakra, being stolen from the council ruins by a shadowy figure, and she needed to act fast, because the final vision was clear. This scroll held the key to awakening a blessing or a curse. Forbidden knowledge poured through her mind. She never imagined seeing the past could be so destructive, because every secret was a scar. How would things come to this point of complete surrender to the unknown? It was unbelievable. The vision of the vanishing scroll burned Himawari's retina, but the paralysis was real. She felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. She needed help, and fast. Her heart pounded desperately. It was then that a deep voice, coming from the chamber's shadows, whispered her name, but it wasn't the same voice from the eye. An elder, with eyes as white as hers and almost no chakra, revealed himself there. He had been waiting, as if he knew. He knew the prophecy, dude, and knew that Himawari's Byakugan had awakened something much older, something even he didn't fully comprehend. The village was in imminent danger, and time was cruel, racing against them in a deadly sprint. The training wasn't in an open field, but within her mind, on a psychic plane that the elder's voice guided with mastery. Himawari needed to see beyond the physical, to access memories that not even forbidden scrolls held. It was an internal journey. Her Byakugan vibrated with every instruction from the elder, and layers of ancestral memories, sealed for centuries, within the Hyuga clan, began to unravel before her. It was as if a forgotten river flowed anew. The past was opening up. She saw the first Hyugas, their initial Byakugans, and the bloody battles they fought, dude. She saw the terrible secrets, and the brutal sacrifices they made to protect Konoha from cosmic threats. Each image was a shock, a lesson etched into her soul. Himawari didn't just see the past, dude. She felt the chakra of those eras flowing through her veins, an archaic power that transformed her from within. A call to the clan would soon be made, because the world would never be the same. The clan would be tested. The elder smiled a dark and mysterious smile, and revealed that her Byakugan wasn't just an eye, but the key to a forbidden technique, forgotten by time. A technique capable of revealing even what doesn't exist, what is sealed away. And this technique, dude, pointed directly to the malevolent seal she had seen in her vision. The same seal pulsing with a dark energy that only she, with her new power, could stop. The ancient shadow tore through the village, and the elder's ripped scream exploded in Himawari's mind. The ground trembled beneath her feet, while fire licked the sky. A deep pain pierced her heart, an echo of the destruction that had just begun. Taking with it the only person who understood her at that moment, Himawari froze. The vision of the gigantic eye, the council turned to dust. It all clicked now, dude. It was the prophecy, the curse, the war she had seen. How could this darkness re-emerge so devastatingly? What was happening? She couldn't believe it. The Elder. He was the key to the forbidden technique, the last bridge between Himawari and the archaic Byakugan's power. Now he was gone, taken by the creature that had no defined form, but left a trail of chaos and despair. Konoha was without its most secret guardian, and she was alone. But a question chilled her spine. How did something so ancient and powerful break free now, just as the malevolent seal was being planted? It couldn't be a coincidence, dude. There was a deep connection, a link between the stolen scroll, the demon, and the bigger plan. It was a macabre puzzle. The demon wasn't just a creature. It was an entity, a chakra parasite that fed on fear and despair, and she felt its presence pulsing in the darkness. The world wasn't ready for what was coming, and the truth was far more brutal than any prophecy. Pain tore through her heart, but fueled a boundless fury. There was no time for mourning. The forbidden technique, the seal's revelation, was her only hope. She would close her eyes to fear and open her Byakugan to the bitterest truth. The Elder would not die in vain. She dove into the chamber, the same place where the gigantic eye pulsed, and ignored the dark energy saturating the air. The Elder's psychic training echoed in her mind. Every instruction, every warning, as if he were still there. It was time to use what he had taught her, to see the invisible. Her Byakugan word, unlike anything she had ever felt. It wasn't just chakra vision anymore, dude. It was a synchronicity. She saw temporal lines muddling, past and present colliding in a chaotic vortex. The demon was leaving a rift in reality itself. The Elder's technique didn't reveal objects, but the memory of objects, the energetic imprint of each event. She saw the forbidden scroll being stolen, not as a flash, but as a macabre dance of shadows and chakra. And she saw who was stealing it. It wasn't a stranger, dude. It was a familiar face. An elite Anbu. Someone Himawari trusted with her life. And he wasn't stealing the scroll. He was implanting it in a secret location, beneath the seal, to awaken something worse than the demon. The entire village watched her body fall. How did Himawari reach this valley of death? It's unacceptable. The Anbu smiled. The vision burned. The betrayal cut Himawari's soul, dude, but there was no time for mourning, because the demon was howling on the outskirts of Konoha, and it was a distraction. She knew it. The elite Anbu didn't steal the scroll. He implanted it, and the true danger was yet to come. So Himawari needed to stop the creature, to expose the bigger plan. She raced to the Valley of the End, a forgotten, shadowy place on Konoha's borders, where the demon's distorted chakra was already tearing reality apart and fracturing the ground. The demon emerged, dude, a shapeless mass of shadows and flaming eyes, pulsing with pure destructive energy. Himawari activated her archaic Byakugan. It wasn't just seeing chakra. She perceived the creature's weaknesses, its vital points, the tethers binding it to this world. Himawari used Juken in a brutal way. She channeled the ancestral power, each blow a shockwave, but felt her own chakra being drained, an excruciating pain with every impact on the demon's chest. With a scream that tore through the valley, Himawari invoked the forbidden technique, the same one the Elder had whispered, and a gigantic chakra seal formed on the ground. The demon howled, thrashed, but was sucked into the seal, consumed by a blinding light, and Himawari felt a part of her vision vanish forever. The village watched in shock, but the traitorous Anbu's smile, still burning in her mind, revealed the true cost. The entire village watched her body fall, dude. How did Himawari reach this valley of death after sealing a creature of darkness? It's unacceptable. The Anbu smiled, the vision burned, silence descended upon the Valley of the End. But it wasn't peace, because exhaustion ripped through Himawari. Her body trembled, every muscle begging for rest, and the vision in her right eye blurred forever. She breathed with difficulty, feeling her life force drain away. But the memory of the elite Anbu's smile was a sharp knife in her mind, because the danger wasn't over. The demon was sealed, yes, but it was just a distraction, a veil to hide the true threat still pulsing in the village's heart. The malevolent seal she had seen in her vision. Anbu medics emerged from the shadows, because duty was the priority. They rushed to Himawari, examining her wounds, but the chakra exhaustion was far deeper than the cuts. A crowd gathered at the valley's borders, because they saw the blinding light and felt the tremor. Murmurs of fear transformed into reverence before the young woman who had saved Konoha. The remaining ninja council, with their building in dust and the Hokage missing, watched from afar. They exchanged glances, and the same question echoed in every mind. Who would lead the village now? The prophecy of the eye that would see too much ceased being a whispered secret and became a cry in the village corridors. The reluctant girl, the only one left, needed to take her place. Himawari felt the weight of their gazes, and the pain in her Byakugan was constant, but she couldn't ignore the destiny calling her. The elder would not die in vain. As she was carried away, she saw a subtle shadow detach from the crowd, a movement too quick for common eyes. The traitorous Anbu was there, watching, and the message was clear. He was waiting. And his plan, dude, the real war, was just beginning. Himawari donned the emerald green cloak, and the weight of the entire village fell upon her shoulders. How did the reclusive girl, who only wanted to train her Juken, become the 8th Hokage in days? It was unbelievable. The ceremony was silent, yet solemn, dude, because the Hokage monument displayed a new face, etched into the cold stone, and Himawari felt the chakra of all her predecessors there. She was the Kage. The loss of her right eye was a constant reminder, a physical scar from the battle, but the visions from the gigantic eye still burned in her mind, revealing a future of shadows and betrayal. She knew what was coming. The traitorous Anbu was there, among the crowd that cheered her, a phantom smiling in the darkness, and Himawari felt his malevolent chakra pulsing, planning the next attack against the village. He thought she couldn't see. She convened a secret meeting, dude, only with the most trustworthy leaders remaining from the council, and exposed every detail of the Anbu's plan, the conspiracy aiming to bring down Konoha from within. The shock was total. The elder's forbidden technique, the one that revealed memories and intentions, allowed Himawari to see the extent of the web of lies, because the malevolent seal wasn't meant to destroy, but to awaken an ancestral weapon. The traitor's eyes were opened before everyone, and despair consumed him, but there was no time for a trial. Himawari knew justice needed to be swift and ruthless. She acted without hesitation, dude. In a flash, Himawari used Juken, not to kill, but to seal, trapping the traitor in an eternal genjutsu, because he carried far deeper secrets, and they would be revealed. Konoha had a Kage, but also a prophecy fulfilling itself, and the future was a constant battle, with new enemies lurking in every shadow, because the world would never be the same. The fight was just the beginning. Himawari knew that peace was an illusion, and the Hokage's cloak a heavy burden, but her Byakugan, even with the scar, saw hope amidst the chaos, and she was ready to protect her village. So dude, did you dig Himawari's journey? If you felt the hype with her rise, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything, and comment below what you thought of this story, because there's a lot more on the channel.